What's up, everybody? Brother Nathan here, back with episode 11 of the Kingdom Project podcast. And obviously, Fernando back here with us. So we've done settled in here to this location. So I'm not even going to bring it up again until we change locations. Also, we're reading your comments. And I understand that one comment said, hey, I miss Braxton. So do we. We missing him. Production team's missing him. Sound team's missing him. Guests are missing him. He coming back. But I need y'all to stay locked in because in October, that's next month, in case you didn't know. October, we have big news coming, big episode coming, so stay tuned. That's a little teaser. I can't give you everything, but stay tuned. Braxton will also be back in the coming month or so. So stay in there, continue commenting, and I'm so sorry that Braxton ain't back yet. We're going to try to keep this thing moving until he gets back. With that being said, so glad to have our guest, Shane Barksdale, in the house today.
Glad to be on. I'm excited.
I'm excited for this conversation, for this podcast episode. He'll be here with us this episode, and then he'll be co-hosting next episode with a special guest. Obviously, you got to stay tuned for that. So, Brother Ricky Shane, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Obviously, a lot of people know you, but just a little bit about what you do here, where you serve, and how your ministry got started, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, so my full name is Ricky Shane Barksdale. I have had people ask me, was my last name Shane? And it's not. From a young age, I was actually called Shane. And then when I went from private school to public school, it transferred to Ricky. And then our previous pastor, Brother Spikes, called me Ricky Shane over the pulpit, and then thus took off Ricky Shane. So
it's weird for me when people say Shane.
Yeah. A lot of my personal friends and really close family members that knew me from a young age, they call me Shane. But to me, I don't even care.
I'm not one of those guys.
It don't even bother me no more. In fact, I've also accepted the fact that people are going to call me Ricky Bobby. It's just kind of inevitable.
100%. It goes right in line.
Kind of inevitable. So I've just kind of started answering to it at this point. But yeah, so I've actually been here at the river, previously called Little River, for 30 years at this point. I've been here all my life. I've never really sat underneath another pastor per se, besides Brother Spikes. Brother Spikes was there when I was born. I tell people he was there when I was born. He baptized me. Of course, was there when I was filled with the Spirit. And then when he passed away, of course, Brother Payne took over as the pastor of the church. And during that time, a lot of, I guess, pivotal things have helped me become who I am. One of those things was I was asked at, I think I was 16 or 17, to start helping around the church. And that kind of started my ministry experience. That was in 2008, going into 2009. And then randomly, Brother Spikes one day come up to me coming out of the prayer room and say, look, you're preaching Wednesday night. Get a 5-minute message together.
Bro, how old were you?
I was 16.
Let's go.
In
main service?
Yep, main service.
Let's ride.
It was like a Sunday night deal. He's like, get a 5-minute message together. So I did, and I remember it. It was called The Love Servant, and I have actually video footage of it. This is like right when they first started recording here. So I was so nervous.
Bro, that's awesome.
Yep. So that was 2009, and it just kind of started from there. I was asked to speak at that particular time, and then there was an older gentleman in the church named Brother Countryman, and he was over the nursing home ministry. And literally, I started going to the nursing homes almost once a month, then it went to twice a month, then it went to 3 times a month, all while serving the youth, all while singing, all of this. So it was pretty interesting.
This is your late teens still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in high school.
Let's go.
I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school and was trying to figure out life. Was trying to figure out like what exactly I wanted to do. I have an older brother, for those that don't know. Y'all know that I have 2 younger brothers. Also, I have another younger brother that you don't know, probably Jonathan Barksdale. But I have an older one. His name is Justin. From a young age, I was I watched him become a minister. I watched him preach, and I was like, there's no way I'd ever do that.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way. Like, God can't call two preachers in one family. And so that kind of started in high school, and I was just asked to preach that one time, and then it just kind of went from there. I got into college, started working. I met my now wife, Lakin, and I just kind of dove into whatever God wanted me to do. It started with just helping around the church, and then it transitioned to, kind of teaching every once in a while, preaching every once in a while, still cleaning up around the church.
Yeah, being a servant.
Still cutting the graveyard. If you've never been behind our church and seen the graveyard, it is literally a 5-hour cut by itself. Still cleaning the toilets, still cleaning the baptistry.
Yeah, got the pulpit on the evening service and the toilet clean that day.
Whatever needed to be done. I mean, literally, whatever needed to be done. I just wanted to be that guy that whoever it was could call and say, "Hey, go get this done."
Yeah,
and I would do it.
Right,
I would do it.
Just totally committing to whatever literally whatever the Lord needs me to do, whatever the kingdom needs.
There was a reason. We could get into it, I guess, a little bit later.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there was a reason why, and I could share a little bit about that. But there was a reason why I just dove right in. I was trying to get my mind off other things.
Yeah. So which has now led to, obviously we'll talk more about the story as you said, but now has led to you're the volunteer pastor at the River and over the singers or musicians.
Yes. So my, I guess, title, I hate titles, but my title, I guess, per se, is I'm the volunteer pastor. So we have over 200 volunteers here at the River, in case young people, you did not know that.
Welcome and more.
Yeah.
Welcome and more.
We want more. If you want to serve, whatever way, however way you want to serve, we'll get you plugged in. But yes, we have over 200 volunteers, and underneath me, as you know, I have other things as well that I try to help facilitate. So a couple of those things are all of the production team, which is sound, media, and audio and visual, which is the camera. Also the music team, which is all the musicians and all the singers. On top of that, our Spanish ministry and our deaf ministry. So that's kind of really the four, I guess, big areas that I devote a lot of my time to.
Yeah.
In essence, there's 1,000 other things that happen on a weekly basis.
Oh, yeah.
That both you and I are both involved in. But it's just, it has evolved into, I tell people I am the volunteerist of the volunteers. I'm the head volunteer of the volunteers. Like I will give whatever amount of time that I have to because I just love it. I love this church. I love the people. And so that's really what it's evolved into.
I usually say if obviously pastor, we follow the spirits first and then pastor, and then everything under that is pastors. Whatever pastor wants to roll with, it's what we roll with. But I often say it jokingly, but actually most of the time it's true. If something got done, Ricky Shane's team did it. And it's because unless you're on payroll here, you're a volunteer. And so you're on Ricky Shane's team. So I always say that somebody says, hey, did this get done or did this not do? And I'll say, I'll call Ricky Shane. That's his team.
Yeah. And then vice versa. If it didn't get done or something broke, hey, call Ricky Shane. Ricky Shane did it.
We'll find it.
100%. That is the going running excuse. If something happened, Ricky Shane did it.
Ricky Shane did it. But I love what you said about you have all these things, these four major things that you put your time into, but 1,000 other things will show up.
100%.
And that's something that I love about this church, and I'm sure it happens in a lot of other churches too. But just because that's volunteer or that's Spanish ministry or that's youth or that's hyphen, that doesn't mean, okay, that's all on Ricky Shane or Nathan or Kyle or Brother William. Everybody plugs in wherever they need to be plugged
Exactly.
in. Like I know just, and this is kind of off, and we'll get to where we're going to go to, but
Yeah.
like I know when Chris and I went to California and we needed some help in the youth while we were gone, you and Brother Williams stepped up in there
Yeah.
and helped us out. So it's like, man, it's so nice to have a team where, okay, I'm taking care of my team, but also
Yeah.
my hand's extended over there if you need me. And
Absolutely.
you've always been a big help. So I thank you for that publicly because now it's on the internet. So,
God.
so now that's a big thank you from
Oh my
me and
gosh.
Sister Carissa. So
we love y'all.
what I did want to get into is because I'm sure I've said it on here before, Sister Chris and I, we didn't grow up with youth group.
Mm.
So I didn't grow up going to camps. She went to camps as she got a little older. I think she was an older teenager. And then, right as she got into hyphen age, I didn't go to a camp until I was a preteen leader, like 3 years ago. So I didn't grow up in a youth group where I was a part of anything or going to youth rallies or anything like that. But then also I never got the experience of camp as a young person. So, and I know you did.
Right.
So I'd like for you to speak on maybe the importance or the impact, because I know you can't see the opposite side, like what your
Sure.
life would have been if you didn't have it.
Yeah.
But could you speak to the impact of having a youth group to go to or youth pastor?
Absolutely. So I would say number one thing that impacted my life and I think started me on the trajectory of where I am currently and where God has taken me and my family is exactly what you said. Being a part of a youth crew, sitting underneath my first youth pastor that I really remember was Josh Payne, and then of course Brother Michael Nutter. Those two individuals just totally impacted me from a spiritual level to a I guess even I told Pastor this a while back. Like he helped develop me as a human being as well.
Oh,
from a young age, I had some things in my life that I had to cut out and deal with that got dealt with being a part of the youth group.
Yeah.
And from a young age, it impacted me because it helped me realize that there's more to life outside. There's more to life than just in the little bubble that we have. So, being a part of the youth group, I was exposed to a lot of different things. When Brother Payne was the youth pastor, we would always have what's called like open arm rallies, where we actually invited all kinds of churches here, whether Baptist, Catholic. We're part of the UPC, so there's this other organization that's Pentecostal that's called ALJC, and we invited them to come out. So we would have these big open arm rallies, and on top of that, we hosted, a lot of different events where I got to see and experience a lot of different things. So, that kind of helped me understand that there's more to the gospel. There's more to experiencing Christ than just in this little bubble at this church as well. And then on top of that, going to youth camp. So from a young age, I went to kids camp. It used to be called Crusader Camp. And I started going there as soon as I possibly could. I heard about it. I wanted to go. I went. And then my mom and dad actually divorced when I was 9. And I remember during that time, I was so retracted from people that I didn't even know how to deal with myself. So the best way that I could deal with my own emotions and my own struggles was to get away, to literally get away. So there was times where I would, even after them being divorced almost probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that I still went to youth camp and would try to get away. Like there was times where I would go there and serve for literally 3 to 4 weeks straight. Kids camp, junior camp, senior camp. Just whatever I could do to just kind of get away from the monotony, get away from life, and just be wherever I could be to serve. That. Serving was my way of just I guess getting away from everything.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it. And to this day, I still love it. But going to youth camp impacted me in ways that I didn't even realize too, because it started when I was in youth. I would get as much as involved as I could, helping Brother Payne, helping Brother Michael. And then it kind of transitioned to where I was teaching sometimes. And then when I was of age, I started going to youth camp and serving at youth camp. There was other leaders that was able to see me as well, and I got to introduce myself.
Yeah.
I kind of rubbed shoulders with really great leaders of our time and just got to have some really cool conversations. And from that, I was actually able to go to Singapore and Malaysia on a missions trip.
Bro.
And so it really opened up a lot of doors.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I went to Singapore and Malaysia in 2012. And let me tell you something, guys. If you ever get to go out of the country, I would 100% advertise for it. I would push you to go. If you're graduating high school and you don't know what you want to do with college, go on a missions trip. Talk to Brother Nathan. Talk to somebody. We'll figure something out. But it will change your life, because when you get out of just that little bubble that I was talking about,
Yeah.
and see that there's a whole big world out there that needs to hear the gospel of Christ and needs to hear what Christ wants to do in their life, it'll change your whole world.
See, and that's something that I've never done.
Yeah.
I've never done a mission trip, but definitely didn't do it as a young person. And
We should totally organize one.
I love
It don't
that.
even have to be out of the country. It could be just here in country. We could go somewhere.
Right. And see, that's something that, and now this is just turned into, but hey, this is what it's supposed to turn into,
Yeah.
conversation. But it's like, I don't know. I don't think Carissa ever has, but I don't know that 100%. I have to check with her. But so that doesn't cross my mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like camp never crossed my mind. Going to youth rallies never crossed my mind until I started getting around the youth and Brother William, and I seen what they did, and I was like, oh, this is a big deal. And so then I went and seen how impactful it is and how many people
It created
so good.
It created so many connections for me that to this day I didn't even realize. And this is by no means, I'm not, I humbly say this, but when I go to youth camp, there's so many people that have heard of Barksdale, not just because of me, but because of Caleb and Colby also.
Right.
But, now it's like, oh, you're Ricky Shane Barksdale. I've heard that you did this, or some crazy story of when I was younger. Or, hey, my youth pastor knows you. Hey, this person knows you. Or, hey, I was in your SALT group, and they're close to 25 years old now. And I'm like,
Bro.
what? Like, you're that old now? Like, what?
Hey, you going and being a part has
It created
fruits that I was able to enjoy, because your connections with some people there opened up a cabin for our boys to stay in. So
It's just
like you
cool.
said, and obviously you do it. You say it humbly, because you couldn't create those opportunities for yourself. You thank the Lord for those opportunities, but it is amazing when you just plug in.
And I'll tell you this, who afforded it for me, afforded me the opportunity was Brother Payne. It was Brother Payne 100%. So, he asked me in 2010 to come help him at a youth camp. And it was all because one person said, hey, could you just come be with me and help me? And from that point on, I went and was always there. So just that impact of one person.
Bro.
Impact of one person. And we could talk a whole biblical lesson on that, but
I have one of my favorite messages, and it's not even the title. And it's actually like one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard a preacher say. And it was Court Chavis at a Mississippi camp meeting one time. And he talked about the power of showing up. And that wasn't even the title of his message. He just talked about the power of being available for what God wants to do. And he actually started speaking at Mississippi camp meetings because somebody wasn't able to make it, and he happened to be there. And he just talked about how if you're willing to go, opportunities open, not so you're lifted up, but just to show you that God's working, God's moving, and that he needs vessels. And if you'll be a vessel for him, he can use you, but you got to be available. I love it.
Pastor Jensen Franklin, he preached a message years ago, and it impacted me. And it was called The Power of an Empty Chair. The Power of an Empty Chair. And what the essential message was about attendance, church attendance. But out of it, what really got me was he talked about the story with David and how Saul recognized at the table that David was not there. And the way that Jensen Franklin worded it was that the chair cried out to Saul, not physically, but mentally. That chair called out to Saul because there was an impact of that one person who had helped him spiritually. David had helped Saul.
Oh, yeah.
And because that he was not there, it literally impacted him to the where of like, where is he at?
Yeah.
Where is he at? And I think it's vice versa as well. When we're there, the impact that we make.
Oh, for sure.
100%. Just showing up makes more of an impact on some people than just not being there.
And like you said, I mean, just all that you've done and serving the kingdom is all because you showed up. And yeah, there was a reason why you was wanting to show up. But a lot of people could find the escape in a lot of other things. And I'll say I'm guilty of it. And I think a lot of other people would say too, hey, I'm guilty of it too. I found an escape somewhere else. Yeah. I didn't run to the church and look for a place to go. So a credit to you for being able to see that and run to the church, but being able to come here and having people that gave you the opportunity. Because some people could want to go to the church, but if nobody's willing to invite them along or open up an opportunity, hey, go cut the grass. Maybe it may not be what a lot of people want to do, but it is an opportunity to do something for the kingdom.
I would say that the single most important thing and the most impacting thing was I had people in my life at our youth group's age that said, can you come do this? Can you come help do this? Or, there was this desire that I had to just be here or be wherever I was needed because I wanted to get away from whatever's going on in my life. And I mentioned it a little bit of my mom and dad went through a divorce, and there was a period of time where I was battling with depression and anxiety, and to the point where a lot of people don't even know this, but I went to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist put me on medicine, and I remember that was a whole fiasco, just crazy. And finally, my stepmom, Jackie, looked at me one day and just said, is the medicine even helping you? And I said, no, not really. And I was just this zombie. I remember that time. I didn't get to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it affected me mentally. And by no means I'm not advocating don't take medicine that the doctor tells you to take.
Right.
But what I am advocating for is that we have to recognize what helps us and what doesn't. And what helped me was being somewhere and getting my mind off of whatever I was going through.
Yeah.
Just serving, pouring my heart out into whatever I was doing. It literally changed the trajectory of my life.
Oh, I believe it.
It literally changed who I am, who I became, who I am going to become one day. It's affected me because just being asked to do something or just showing up to do it, regardless if anybody asked me or they didn't.
Right.
Just
seeing a need.
Doing it. Just doing whatever was necessary. It helped me understand that there's more to this life than me.
Yeah.
And so I would say to anybody, if you're going through something, just pour your heart out to God, pour your heart out to Brother Nathan, Sister Carissa, and say, what can I do? Whatever it is. If you want me to pick up trash, if you want me to clean the toilets, I guarantee you there's enough toilets on this on this campus that we need them all cleaned.
Oh, I'm sure.
The baptistry needs to be cleaned every single week. There's so much stuff that's needful to be done that it just allows you an avenue to serve beyond yourself.
Right. And we speak a lot to serving, and we push Sister Carissa and I took this from Brother William, who was before us, to find somewhere to serve, like as a young person, and we push that a lot, and it helps the kingdom. Obviously, it helps us. It helps the whole system run, but it's been so beneficial to you as a person.
Well, what it does is it creates what we like to call multi-generational. So it's not just the 60-year-old person that comes here to pray and comes to clean. It's also the 30-year-old married couple. It's also the 25-year-old college student or college graduate that's working, and then all the way down to the youth group of, going from 13 all the way to 17, 18, and then even going down to the elementary, classes. One day when my daughter sees me serving, and she already does it, this past Sunday, I was on the platform and Brother Nathan was right in front of her and he was just worshiping the altar. Well, that's an act of service. It's an act of worship, but she was able to see me on the platform and one of our other leaders worshiping, and it just in her mind, she just started dancing and worshiping as well. But it creates this multi-generational thing where when your parents have a heart for it, when you have a heart for it, your future children can have a heart for it.
Right.
And when you show people the positive effects of what it means to serve other people, it changes a whole generations. It changes generations of people.
And what I love is like you saying, obviously you don't do it for the show, but other people are seeing
100%.
you serve. And some people say, well, I don't want to go up there by myself or whatever. Get a buddy.
Yeah.
Get you a buddy and
Pull
come
somebody
here.
else in.
Yeah, and pull them in here and serve the kingdom together, because now you got somebody that's with you.
Yep.
But then also you're doing it together.
Yep.
And then
Well, it's a connection point too.
it's actually absolutely
You're
you're connecting together, and then you're also serving the kingdom, and that grows, man. Like that grows quick, because all this. You're gonna make your teenagers or hyphen or however old. You're gonna make it fun. Like if you get in here, you start enjoying it. One, you're gonna be more invested in. Okay, I serve at this church. I love this church.
Yeah.
But then also, you're going to make a good time. And you can figure out, if you get up here with your two best friends, you'll figure out how somehow cleaning the bathrooms will become fun. It'll become entertaining. Cutting the grass and weed eating, like you can make a competition out of it. You can make a fun game out of it, something, because you're just doing things that.
My favorite thing is we have an Easter bunny outfit, and when people start cleaning, I go get the Easter bunny head and I just start scaring everybody.
Let's go.
It's the funniest thing in the world.
And then you bring that with you. Like you take that
fun element. Yeah.
You take that and it brings something out in you, whatever reason you're up here. An escape, you're coming up here to just serve or whatever it is. You need something to do, you're bored at the house. When you come up here and serve, especially if you'll bring a friend or friends, then you take that back to school with you, and I think it helps. Or if you have siblings, like you have Caleb and Colby, and you bring them up here a good bit. If you need something, those are usually the guys you call and lean on.
You say that, and I don't know if Caleb ever mentioned it or he didn't, but because I started in nursing home ministry, Caleb actually got to see me do nursing home ministry, and I would actually take him almost every Sunday with me. And I got videos of him nodding off when I was preaching, and first person ever to fall asleep while I was preaching that I know of.
Little brother.
Yeah, little bro. And he's just sleeping. But he got to see that.
Right.
And, I asked him a while back, like, what impacted you the most? Like, what has really impacted you as far as, with me and being in your life? And he's like, man, just seeing you love it.
Yeah.
Just seeing you love it. And I humbly say that it's been such a blessing. It's been such a blessing to me and my family. I can't get over the fact that just pouring my life out and just saying, God, whatever you want to do, just do it.
Right.
Just do it. Let me help you in whatever small, minute capacity.
Like I'm just willing. And what I love about
do it
that,
without me.
Yeah.
Don't do it without me. I just want to
just
help.
let me be a part of it.
Yeah.
Just let me be a part of it. And I've had this conversation with Caleb and little Colby about like how much they serve.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot.
And I'm talking to little Colby, and he's like, well, man, when I was little, all I wanted to be was Ricky Shane.
Oh my God.
So I seen how much he did, so I just wanted to do. But then you turn back to you going all that time to camps, and now those cats are playing at kids camp.
They're doing the same exact thing I'm doing.
And then,
now I tell them, like, hey guys, you might have to scale back a little bit.
But you set that servant's heart up, and they see it, and now you're trying to. They just follow right in, and you set that precedent as this is what we do. We serve the kingdom, and we love it.
So I'm going to say this, and I 100% stand behind it. 100% stand behind it. So I have, like I said, an older brother. I have myself, a brother named Jonathan, and then it's Caleb, Colby, Callie. So 6 kids, right? And my dad had 6 kids, and I'm sure that he would not mind me telling this, but my dad and my family, I had 2 uncles and an aunt on my dad's side, and then my mom has 2 blood sisters and several other stepsisters and half sisters and stuff like that. But we're all one big family.
Yeah.
But on my dad's side, my pawpaw, he for a stint in life he had battled with alcohol, and then his dad battled with alcohol, and my uncles battled with alcohol. I don't know if they ever battled with drugs or anything. I don't think that they did, but alcohol was a huge thing.
Yeah.
Just this huge thing. And my brothers and I, that I know of, unless they've done something I don't know about, but my brothers and I, and Callie, I'm gonna hold her to it as well. We have broken that curse. We have broken the bonds of alcoholism.
Come on.
And one of the biggest things we attribute it to is being involved in church, being involved in the kingdom of God, because we didn't give ourselves any choice to go do things because we seen it in our parents, we seen it and even our grandparents, and we said, we don't want to live that life.
Right.
Like, I don't want that to affect my children.
Yeah.
It stops with me. The buck stops with me.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of that came from we seen a different route. We seen a different way to go. We seen a different path. And that path was, okay, I have a grandmother that loves God and is going to drag us to church no matter if we want to go or not.
Yeah.
Right? But in the middle of all of that, we seen, a youth pastor like Josh Payne, a youth pastor like Michael Nutter. We seen a pastor like Adrian Spikes. We seen men of God. We seen women of God that loved being here, that loved serving, that loved being a part of the kingdom. And we said, why don't we try this?
Yeah.
And because of us seeing other people, it's affected our family and our future families.
Absolutely.
And so, I think about Caleb and Colby, and I'm like, man, I love my boys. I love my brothers. But there's no telling what can happen in their life because God's already doing it. The levels that God's going to take them is just unsurmountable. I mean, there's just no stopping what God's doing in their life.
Right.
And I think I think it's because they seen people like Nathan and William and myself and a Josh Payne and a pastor that loves them. And they've had their own struggles. They've had to move around different places, but now they're plugged in to a place that's just kingdom only.
Right.
Like, we just want you to be a part of the kingdom.
And they love it.
And they love it.
And what I love about them, and we're getting close to wrapping it up, but something I love about them is they're also, hey, let's see if I can bring somebody along for the ride.
100%.
They're not like, hey, let me just go get mine. Like, I know Caleb is actively pushing people, not pushing people, but like actively searching for people. Hey, who's interested in music? Because he loves music.
Yep.
Who's interested in I can help teach you? And little Colby's like, man, if he can carry a conversation with anybody, and he's just like, hey, let's go to this youth rally. Let's go serve over here. And they are bringing their friends along with them, inviting people to youth rallies, inviting people to game night, inviting people to youth service. And then also they'll be up here serving whenever we need to serve. And it's so amazing to see young people jump on there and then see, like you said, the path that it leads, because it's such, you can tunnel vision on, okay, this is what the kingdom is. And now I see all this. Yeah, we're going to have our own struggles. We're going to have rough days still, but you see the escape from all the doom and gloom and horror that there is out there that you've seen take its effect on so many other people.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to have bad days, but I'm going to be in it with the Lord.
What I had to realize, and I know we're wrapping up, but what I had to realize is the path to the promise of God never nullifies that there's not going to be struggles. It just means that when you're on the path, you're following him.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on the path trying to serve, it doesn't mean that things aren't going to pop up that is going to try to delay whatever promise that God has for you. It just is an obstacle that you can overcome because you're on the path that God desires for you.
Right.
You know, that doesn't mean, I said something about alcohol a while ago. Me and my older brother, we worked in a grocery store and we was around alcohol all day long.
Yeah.
It didn't mean that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it wasn't in front of me. It just mean that I didn't want to partake of it because I wanted to go a different path.
Right.
That path involved me working at a place that was serving and selling alcohol. I just didn't want to do it.
Right.
Because I wanted something different. So
it's a choice. It's a made up mind choice.
It's a choice. It's a choice that we all have to make. You have to make to say, I don't want to live my life like all of my friends. I don't want to live my life like my family. You know, all respect to your family, but I don't want to live that way. I want to live differently. I want to live literally whatever way that I can that leads to being closer to Christ. I just want to do that.
Absolutely.
Whatever the cost. Like if it costs me being tired, if it costs me, my life, if it costs me whatever it is, I want to pay. I want to do whatever I can to be as close as I can to Jesus. And to me, the closest I can get to Jesus is when I'm serving other people.
Absolutely.
That's
He came and did it.
That's the closest I can be.
Like him.
That's the closest I can be. Is like is if Jesus did it, then I want to do it.
Right. And then echoing how we're trying to be like him and do what he did.
Yeah.
And then he brought people along for the ride.
100%.
So I'll push it and I'll push it until I say until they tell me to stop, but I won't then. I guess I just have to do something else. Find somewhere to serve your talent with your talent because the Lord gave you a talent that can be used in the kingdom.
No doubt.
And then do it with your friends. Bring your friends along.
Bring your friends.
Whether they go to church or not, bring your friends along and let them see.
Yep.
And then, you don't know what friend you're bringing along, what life may be impacted by them.
Yep.
So you don't ever know. Just dive into it wholeheartedly. And like you said, be what Jesus was, a servant to the people and his kingdom, and everything else follows.
If you want to know how to reach your friends at school, is just be the biggest servant that you can. I tell you, I say that, and Sean Roach graduated with me. Kyle Johnson graduated with me. Paige Simpson graduated a year, I think, before me, and now they all go to church with us.
Yeah.
It's not because of me. God, no. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It just, in the middle of all that, they started coming to a church and they're like, oh, that guy's still living for the Lord? Wow. Like, there's something different.
That guy goes to church over there too?
Like,
yeah, I'll try it out.
Ricky Shane's church? Like, what? Like Kyle Johnson, he was on here, I think, last podcast,
Yeah.
The last two. Is it the last two? Or the
last two episodes.
So last two episodes, and my boy, we went to school together in Albany. My boy was a knothead in high school too, But we love one another. And Sean, Sean tells a story, and I could tell it another time, but, we would butt heads in school, but
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
We would butt heads in school.
Matter of fact, let's put a pin and remember. Bring that up next episode.
We would butt heads in school, but now he's at the river and he loves it. He loves it, bro. And I would say that part of that just comes from just loving God, loving people, and just showing your witness to people, showing your servitude to people in the best way possible, because they'll never forget it.
Right.
They'll never forget. A person will never forget when something nice is done. So
100% back it up, bro. Thank you so much. It
was an honor. It was a pleasure.
We're gonna end it right here, but don't forget, Ricky Shane will be back next time.
Yep.
Along with special guests. And you want to announce it? Go ahead and tell them who's coming next.
So the next episode, there's going to be Ricky Shane Barksdale Sr. and Ricky Shane Barksdale Jr., little Colby Barksdale. He's going to be on the next episode.
We cannot wait. That'll be 2 weeks from
excited.
now. 2 weeks from now. Make sure, until then, love you guys. See you next time.
Love y'all.